every node. Every cycle, every spark keeps the network in the dark. Lights on. In the Pyrax chain we build as one. Through every GPU the work is done. Utility flows where systems connect. The future of trust we all protect. In the Pyrax chain the power flows. Through every core the system grows. Every block, every side built across a global line. From basement rigs to data halls, 1,000 signals rise and call. Not controlled by only few, but powered by the many too. Silent work in coded night, turning heat into pure light. Every hash and every trace helps maintain the network's pace. Distributed, not confined. Every unit redefined. Strength that comes from being wide, not from where control resides. The Pyrax chain we build as one. Through every GPU the work is done. Utility flows where systems connect. The future of trust we all protect. In the Pyrax chain where miners stand. Across the circuits of every land. Every node, every line, working through a shared design. Not one core, not one place, but 1,000 nodes in endless space. Work is shared, work is free, powering decentralized unity. In the Pyrax chain we are as one. Through every GPU the work is done. Utility flows where systems connect. The future of trust we all protect. From underground to open skies, a global system that never dies. Every machine, every sign, part of one connected design. GPU light fades slow and clean. Still part of something unseen. Underground, but never gone. The network lives and carries on. Across the networks beyond the noise, signals align through countless nodes. From silence emerges verified truth, a future written in mathematical proof. Every transaction leaves a trace, secured in time, secured in place. No hidden hand, no veil remains. Consensus echoes through the chain. Through cryptographic walls of light,
Good morning, Pyrax. How are we today? Sorry about that microphone issue. So, welcome to our second Ask Me Anything for the Pyrax blockchain. Um, it's a bright, beautiful morning here in southern British Columbia, Canada. So, we're going to start with a little bit of some announcements, just a general update, and then, like last time, we're going to jump into answering your questions. And hopefully, we'll have a lot more time at the end of today to take some community questions. So a lot's happened since our last AMA. This AMA is going to be presented in such a way that anyone, whether you've been a fan of crypto for years, or you're brand new to Pyrax, if this is your first project, you'll be able to understand exactly what Pyrax is, what we've built, and what we're building, and where we're headed. So grab a coffee. This is the deep dive you guys have been asking for. So I'll start with a quick summary on what Pyrax is. Pyrax is a layer one blockchain that doubles as a decentralized AI supercomputer. It's its own layer one. It's a base network, exactly like Bitcoin or Ethereum, with its own token. PYRX is what we're anticipating the token name to be, or the token ticker. It has its own miners, its own validators, its own smart contracts, and best of all, private transactions. On top of all of that, we're going to have a built-in marketplace where people can rent out their GPU and CPUs to run AI work and get paid in Pyrax. If that sounds like two big projects in one, that's really because it is. Most chains do tokens, apps, and they just kind of stop there. They rely on community for building utility. Pyrax does tokens, apps, privacy, and real AI compute on top of a completely open, decentralized ecosystem. Pyrax is launching with real utility. Our flagship app is going to be the Cryo Trading Bot, the Collaborix Work Suite, which is, I guess the best way to sum that up would be the best of Microsoft Teams, a little bit of Discord, and then an entire tabbed ecosystem. You can import your own apps, your own collaborative systems, pretty much anything you want within it. And then we have the external platform. And I'm not going to dive too much into this. It's going to be its own AMA. So just stay tuned for that. And then our newest utility offering, which we haven't discussed before. So I guess this is the first, but the Plexus Suite. This is a Web3 browser designed specifically for the Pyrax chain, a decentralized VPN, and a encrypted file and media streaming service. We're hoping Plexus is ready for mainnet, but it may roll out in a phased approach shortly after mainnet. We'll definitely be sure to keep you guys updated. So one thing that's still asked quite a bit, and we do still see a lot within our different social communities, is the struggle between a utility and a commodity token versus a security token. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes and I'm going to explain the big differences between the two, why we chose the utility commodity route, and what it means for us at launch. So as most of you know, Pyrax is a US-based project. So in the US, a digital asset generally falls into one of the two regulatory lanes. And which lane a token sits in changes almost everything we know about how it can be sold, who can buy it, where it lists, and in all honesty, how we're even allowed to talk about it, which is why you might notice us referring to our upcoming sale as a Genesis event versus a pre-sale. So here's the two lanes, a full breakdown, and I'm going to try and do this in as plain English as I can, just so everybody can follow along. So a security token is regulated by the SEC, and a security is essentially an investment. You put money into a common enterprise expecting profit from the efforts of others. The legal shorthand is the Howey test. Um, Company stocks is a classic example. If a token is sold as an investment, aka buy this, the team will make the price go up. Regulators will likely treat that as a security. And securities are heavily regulated by the SEC. Registration, limits on who can buy, which often limits who can buy to only accredited investors, meaning you have to go through a certification process. There are mandatory disclosures, there are enforced lockups, and trading is usually confined to special licensed venues. The commodity and utility route is being handled by and regulated by the CFTC. A commodity token or a utility token um, behaves like one. So it's something that you buy to use, not necessarily buy to hope for a moonshot. Um, it's it's not a stake in someone else's profit making. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have generally been treated as commodities, and under the current U.S. market structure framework now taking shape via legislation such as the Clarity Act, is drawing this line even more explicitly. Digital commodities and sufficiency decentralized utility tokens, these all fall under the CFTC. Um, the deciding question isn't necessarily the technology, it's how the token works and how it's sold. So, a consumable tool on a real decentralized network versus an investment contract riding on a central team's promises. Which one is Pyrax? Pyrax is built and offered as a utility token. Pyrax exists to be used. So you'll spend it as a gas fee for transactions and smart contracts. You can use it to pay for all of our utility platforms, for our AI compute on the Neurax marketplace. You'll stake it to help secure the chain, earn rewards for that work, and providers earn it for the real computing power that they provide and the jobs that they perform in our Stream B. Um, it carries no equity, it carries no ownership stake, no dividend, and no promise of profit from the team's efforts. The network is decentralized and functional. It's a live layer one with 3 mining streams and a working AI marketplace. The supply is fair launched to the public in a utility commodity token rather than concentrated with insiders. Um, and those are the hallmarks of a commodity utility asset in the CFTC lanes, not a security in the SEC lane. Why are we listing as a utility, and what does it mean for the community? It means broad permissionless access, which is without a doubt one of the most important aspects of any blockchain. So a utility token can be acquired and used by the general public worldwide, and without the accredited investor gates and geographic walls and the geographic walls that a traditional security would face, which is exactly what our fair launch ethos wants. We want to get this into as many hands as we can, not a few. Um, we can list on exchanges as a utility. Mainstream crypto exchanges typically list commodities and utility tokens on their normal spot markets. Security tokens are pushed a little bit more into specialized security token venues with far fewer options, heavier gating, thinner reach. So the utility status means more venues, broader access, and fewer barriers. Um, Pyrax is genuinely a tool you use to consume on the network. Describing it as a security would misrepresent what we actually are and what our token actually is. Um, this is the most important consequence, and the reason we decline every when will the moon price or when will the price moon, will we hit top 20, um, if you notice, we're not ignoring your questions in our community chats just for the sake of avoiding them. um, it's literally something that we can't get into. We can't do it because our pricing and whether or not we hit a top 20 100% depends on you, the community, and how you're using our token, how you're trading our token. Um, Really, this entire project, its valuation, um, it all comes down to you. So, promise or implying any price appreciation is a true hallmark of a security token. As a utility token, we can't make price predictions. We can't make return promises, and we can't make market cap market cap promises. Um, this is purely by design and discipline. It's not by evasiveness, and I just want to make that clear because this is something that we've kind of been accused of is being a little bit evasive on you know what our sales prices are going to be, what our listing prices are going to be, and I'm going to make it clear right now. Um, what we launch for at Genesis is what our initial exchange price is going to be listed at. Um, so the Genesis price is funding plus access. It's not an investment pitch. Um, we have made a price change, and I'm going to talk about it here. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on. Originally, we were going to be selling this at 0.003. Um, we've decided to cut that back by 0.0005. So our new listing price is now 0.0025 cents US. And I will say it now, but we're going to talk about it here in the next phase as well on tokenomics. Um, we have drastically restructured our tokenomics. We've been listening to the community, and because of some of the big changes we're making to the external platform, we've been able to cut our initial our initial overall tokens from 100 billion down to 50, which is huge. So we're dropping the price, we're dropping the number of tokens, we're making this a lot more aggressive, which I think is going to be a lot better for the project in the long run. So at the exchange listing time, utility and commodity status is what lets Pyrax pursue ordinary spot listings, and we can be freely usable and transferable by the public, um, subject to each exchange's standard KYC and anti-money laundering rules and policies. So while there will be forms of KYC throughout our platform, everything boils down to the exchanges when you go to cash out. So we're trying to list on as many exchanges as we possibly can to really broaden the horizons and give you guys options. But please remember that at the end of the day, exchanges are who are setting the KYC and AML rules. It's not necessarily us. Um, there is no accredited investor gate baked into our assets. There's no equity style disclosures or dividends because there is no equity. This is a tool whose price the open market sets. Um, Decentralization protects that posture over time. The more the network runs without depending on the founding team's ongoing effort, um, real validators, real miners, real demand, the more clearly Pyrax stays in the commodity and utility lane. So we are going full on. For any of you that were here in DevNet 1, you would know that we were using a centralized boot server to connect to. Um, with our current node infrastructure, there is no more boot server. This is being launched 100% decentralized through our node app. So it's 100% peer to peer. There is no boot system. There is no centralization for our infrastructure. It depends 100% on community participation, node operators, miners. Um, it's it's very rare for that to happen right out of the gate. Most projects will use a boot server. They'll run it for 6 months or a year, and then they'll drop it down they'll get rid of the boot server and then transition to decentralized. We're doing this right out of the gate. Um, Now, there are a couple of caveats here. So we don't want to be giving misinformation. That's our number one rule: honesty and transparency. So this is how Pyrax is designed, and how we think about it. None of this is legal advice. None of it is a guarantee of how any regulator or court will ultimately classify the token. We want to stick with the utility commodity lane, but we still have regulators, we still have legal, and I want to be 100% clear about this. Until we're actually up and going, there this could go either way. Um, we're building this to completely mold into the decentralized lane, the utility and commodity lane. So classification turns on the specific facts and how the tests like Howie are applied. The U.S. rules dividing the CFTC and SEC authority are still being finalized through legislation and rulemaking. And please understand that every other country around the world, they also have their own rules, regulations, and laws surrounding this. So it's definitely not a one size fits all. So as we get closer to launch, we'll have way more information on all of this. But for now, this is the framework that we're moving forward with. Um, we're trying to avoid security style marketing. Um, we intend to comply with all of the applicable laws in every market as the rules settle out. Um, and if that ever requires changes, we'll happily make them, and we'll be super open, honest, and transparent as we have been through this entire process. Um, so some people have sort of struggled with the simple analogy of Pyrax. Our architecture is quite confusing. It can be a little bit challenging to kind of grasp the tri-stream, the tri-layer. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a breakdown here. Just imagine a city. So the roads in the traffic system, that would be the blockchain itself. That would be our layer one. It moves value and records everything fairly and without a boss in charge. The power grid would be our mining and staking. People are contributing work and stake to keep it running and get paid for it. The postal service would essentially be a little bit of our privacy layer. Um, you can send value and even files without the whole world watching. And I'm going to get into the file and media sharing here in a little bit. It's a pretty cool little system. Imagine factories and workshops in our network. That would be our smart contracts and the apps that are built on top of our ecosystem, whether it's our native apps or community built and run dApps. And then the rentable supercomputer at the local university, that would be Neurax. That's our homegrown AI. It's our flagship. The compute marketplace is where idle GPUs kind of hang around. And then they team up to run various AI jobs as they're brought in either from dApps or through our marketplace as people want to run and use Neurax. So the next step I'm going to talk about here is why the decentralized play. Um, why does this matter to you, um, the world, or the environment? We get asked about this quite a lot. Decentralized AI, why? There have been other projects that have tried it. There have been other projects that failed. Um, so today, the compute that powers AI lives in a handful of giant corporate clouds. It makes it super expensive. Everything is gated, and it's very centrally controlled. A few companies decide who gets access, what's allowed, and what it costs. Um, our Neurax AI flips that. Anyone with a GPU can supply, compute, and earn Pyrax. Anyone can rent it, and anyone can pay in Pyrax or fiat to run jobs across our network. The network matches the job to compatible, capable hardware. It verifies that the work done is real, and it settles all payments to the community members running and essentially powering our GPU network all automatically. Um, there's no single person or company that owns the off switch to our AI pipeline. Why does this matter to you? So there's three things here. Access. Um, we can run real AI without a big tech account or a gatekeeper's permission. Affordability. We're an open market for the world's idle GPUs. Um, we can undercut monopoly pricing, um, and then we've got ownership and privacy. Neurax is built to run locally on a consumer GPU as low as an RTX 3060. Of course, the bigger the better. Everything is about VRAM, and I'm going to address that in one of the questions today, um, so that your AI can work on your machine. Um, you can use it private. It's I've never really seen anything like it up to this point. Um, so I guess what I'm saying, we can reach out to the network when a job is too big for your card. So if you're processing, you're running a 3060, you're assigned a job, and it's just too much for you to handle, we can pool you with another GPU, and then it breaks out into a profit share. Um, we're hoping that this becomes a very profitable stream. Um, I don't ever want to say that anything's going to be a second income stream, but we're definitely building this, pricing it so that there's definitely um, a return on investment. Graphics cards aren't cheap. That's no secret. So your GPU earns from AI work, and not just block rewards. So if you're in our GPU mining, if you're in the GPU mining stream, you can opt into AI. And if a job comes in that matches your card, um, we can pull you out of the mining pool. We can get you processing that job, get you paid for that job, and then drop you into the mining pool, and back to mining you go. Why does it matter to the world? So concentrated AI is a single point of control and a single point of failure. A decentralized market is censorship resistant and resilient. There's no central kill switch. It gives builders and researchers a level playing field, including people in places without cheap cloud access. Um, and its value flow to thousands of small providers instead of just a few corporations. It's the same ethos as the rest of Pyrax. Private by default, fair launch, community owned. Why it matters to the environment. And this is probably one of the questions we've been asked the most, just offline in Telegram. Um, and I'm not gonna wash this down. AI compute is energy intensive. There's no secret there. Decentralization is not a magic fix, but a distributed model is genuinely more efficient with the energy the world is already spending. In concrete ways, it uses hardware that already exists. Idle gaming GPUs, mining rigs, instead of demanding a brand new megawatt data center. Pyrax favors idle only, contention aware scheduling. So jobs can soak up otherwise wasted capacity rather than spinning up new machines. And each provider is free to run their own cheaper renewable power source. Um, we can squeeze more useful work out of hardware that's already plugged in instead of building fresh data centers from scratch. It's real, it's unglamorous, um, but it's honest, and it's definitely an efficiency win. Um, the most valuable computing resource of this decade. It shouldn't belong to four companies. Decentralizing it and making it run on the hardware people already own is exactly the kind of thing that I started this project to do. Um, so one thing I didn't go over in the first AMA, and I apologize, but we do have the 6 pillars of Pyrax. This is also going to be included on the new website. But the 6 pillars of Pyrax is really what makes the Pyrax project different, and kind of helps to explain why you should be excited about Pyrax. So the first pillar is a faster kind of blockchain. Um, we're using GhostDAG, which is a form of BlockDAG protocol. Most chains are a single file line of blocks, one at a time, very slow, methodical. Because we're using BlockDAG, um, we can let a lot of blocks be produced in parallel and then ordered fairly. This is how we target a very high throughput. Our published goal is 500,000 transactions per second as a network wide aggregate. Um, the goal will be to measure this with a reproducible benchmark once we're into testnet, once we're into early mainnet. We don't want to just throw this wild claim out that that's what we're doing now. Um, this is our goal, and um, we're going to hit that goal. I am convinced of it. In early testing, we're doing fantastic, but early testing on an internal DevNet is definitely not early testing on a public network. And there are all sorts of factors that can go into this either being faster or slightly slower. But nevertheless, this is our goal. The second pillar, we've got three ways to earn. We're tri-stream, and as far as we know, we're the only tri-stream blockchain being built at present. Um, we're not forcing everyone into one kind of mining. We've got three parallel streams. We have our stream A, which most of you know is the ASIC proof of work. It is a dual algorithm stream. We're using both Blake 3 and SHA 256. Stream B, again, our CPU, GPU proof of work stream. We're using Kapow for GPUs, and we're using RandomX for CPUs. And this is the stream that's wired into the AI compute side, so capable GPUs have an extra way to earn. And then stream C, this is our proof of stake. You can lock Pyrax up, you can run a validator, you can help finalize the blocks. And I don't know anybody else that is really running three streams with multi algorithms and then a proof of stake. I do know there are a couple hybrids out there, but again, most of them are single algorithm and single staking. So what this means is ASIC owners, GPU miners, CPU miners, and stakers all have a place in the Pyrax ecosystem. Block rewards are going to be split pretty evenly across the three streams. The third pillar is private by default. Pyrax's default transaction is shielded, which means the sender, the receiver, and the amount are all hidden by default. If you want to make a private transaction, you just click a checkbox, and it will make that transaction completely transparent and auditable on chain. This is using the same family of math that Zcash style privacy uses. We have no trusted setup. So transparent transactions still exist when you want them. Privacy is the default. It's not an afterthought. However, the caveat to this is our privacy system still has to clear an external security audit before we can go and make any wild claims about this. So we're working on that as we speak, and we hope to have more information on audits here closer to launch. Our fourth pillar, real smart contracts. So as you know, our EVM sidechain, we have more than just one way to interact with our platform. EVM is our default. Existing contracts and tools like MetaMask, Hardhat, Foundry, Ethers, Veeam, they all work unchanged. You can literally drag and drop those square into the Pyrax network, and away we go. We also offer WASM and Cairo. These contracts execute inside the base layer, so every node rechecks them, and that's what makes them trustworthy. They can call, you can even call smart contracts across the different languages. So if you're doing an EVM contract and you have a Cairo contract, you can make cross calls. We do have an EIP 1559 fee market. That's a built-in token standard. And then we've got our L1, L2, and L3 bridges already in place. Our fifth pillar is ISP resistant networking. We have no central boot server. Nodes find each other through several decentralized methods, and the file and media sharing service is built on an onion routed mixnet. Think of it as Tor's cousin, I guess. So an internet provider can see that something is moving, but they can't see what it is or who's talking. And then our sixth pillar is, of course, Nirax and the AI compute marketplace. This is our flagship. People who need AI work done, like inference, like LLM, image generation, embeddings, or longer batch computing jobs. Again, they can pay in Pyrax. There will be an option to pay in fiat. People who own the GPUs, you guys run the work, and you get paid for that work. The network matches jobs to capable hardware, checks the work is real, and settles payment automatically on chain. So that kind of clears that up. That was kind of the announcements and some of the housekeeping I wanted to go through. Again, if you're watching and you're from a marketing or a media company, I will throw this in here. Do not mass spam our admins. Do not mass spam myself. In Telegram, if you mention marketing, our Rosebot's going to come up, and it's going to direct you with an email address to reach out to make your marketing proposals or to talk with our marketing team about how you may be able to help the project. But please, please, please stop spamming our community. You will be removed rather quick. So I guess with everything that has been said right now, and before I move into the community questions, do we have any questions that anybody has up to this point? Moderators. Okay, let's see. So one of the questions is, can you outline how the Pyrax AI compares to a traditional LLM like ChatGPT? So yes, I can. However, I'm going to decline at this very minute, because in our next AMA, I have all of this planned to be explained in full. Our next AMA is going to be very heavily focused on Nirax and all of the components within it, and how it compares to other traditional LLMs like ChatGPT. What I can tell you is it's very similar. It's just designed to operate in a decentralized environment on consumer grade GPUs. So we will have an inference, we will have a GPT type prompting system. There are multiple engines. There will be the text engine, there's an image engine, there's a video engine. There are all sorts of different modules that we'll be able to use. So please bear with me. We're going to get to that a lot more in depth here in probably a week or two. So the second question here, how do we expect the two types of ASIC miners will compare performance-wise? So the way we've broken everything down, the ASIC miners, the different algorithms aren't competing against each other. You're competing with your own type of ASIC miner. So if you're using a Blake 3 miner, you're only competing against other Blake 3 miners. If you're using SHA 256, you're only competing with those. Otherwise, we'll see one side get overwhelmed, and we're making the second side not necessarily useless, but you know, there's going to be far less on the mining rewards. So I think performance-wise, they should both do extremely well. I can't tell you exactly how well they're going to compare until we fire up DevNet and we get miners going and we really start testing this. full steam ahead. So what I will say on this is right now our DevNet 2 is on schedule. We are looking at deploying end of the month based on the countdown on pyrax.org. And I would say within about a week or two of us starting up DevNet, we'll be able to see exactly what kind of performance we're going to see out of the two types of miners. And at that point, we should be doing weekly AMAs, and I will be more than happy to keep you updated on all of the findings coming out of DevNet, including mining performance. That's a huge question. It's definitely what the community wants to know. It would be very irresponsible of me to just make those guesses and throw something out there right now without having any form of proof behind me to back it up. So, Marcus, thank you for both of those questions. Sorry they weren't as in depth or as detailed as you wanted, but we're definitely going to make sure that that we get you those answers right away. So let's move into the community questions. So before every AMA in our Telegram, and if you're not in our Telegram, the link's in the description below. I would implore you to hop in there. We share a lot of information there. All of the founding team, our executive team, we're all very active within Telegram. We're striving to get even more active in Telegram, but we're one of the rare projects that's actually giving you access to the founding team, to our executive team, and really interact with the community. So before every AMA, we ask you guys to send questions. And the reason we do this is some of your questions are very well worded. They're very complex. And we use those questions to form topics or categories. So for those that weren't here in the first one, I'm going to go through a community submitted question. I'm going to answer the question. And then at the end of that question, I'm going to open it up for a little bit of one-on-one on that topic. If it's not in that topic, that's totally fine. You can still submit your questions. Our moderators are going to grab them. They're going to send them to me. And at the end of this AMA, I'm going to go through those questions and I'll answer as many as I possibly can. If it's a question that I don't have a direct answer to right this minute, I will tell you, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I think last time I responded to 10 or 15 questions after the fact. We definitely strive to get all the information back that's asked in these. So here we go. The first question. This was asked by, and I'm sorry if I butcher this name, this was asked by Shreddy. What's the plan for onboarding developers, builders, and ecosystem partners during the pre-launch period to ensure strong network activity at launch? So that's a great question. Because a chain with no apps and no users at launch is really just an empty shell. Our approach is to remove as much friction as humanly possible before launch, and to find solid partnerships that can really show off our network, and to try to help to fund some of those people who are early builders, early partners of the Pyrax network. The biggest single thing we did here is making Pyrax EVM compatible. That's not a small detail, and it means that an Ethereum developer, and for that matter, most Web3 developers, can literally point their existing tools or projects at Pyrax and deploy them with zero to very minimal new learning curve. We're also supporting WASM and Cairo contracts, so builders from other ecosystems are welcome here too. On top of that, we're shipping a full development documentation site. It's going to be announced here later this week when we launch the new website. We have quick starts, full references, we have examples. Anybody that wants to build on Pyrax will be able to go through our documentation and very quickly and easily understand how to develop and deploy on our network. For getting builders active before mainnet, the test networks are essentially the playground. So We will have the public DevNet 2. Well, it's a closed DevNet 2, but it's based off of public community members. Um, it will be launching with the faucet. People will be able to write small security contracts if they so choose to, um, and start tinkering on DevNet. Testnet, though, is where we're going to do quite a lot of work. Um, you'll be able to do a lot of minor testing. You'll be able to build, ship, break things. You'll be able to harden your apps on our test coins. It's a very standard practice across most blockchains. And then to fund the ecosystem, in our tokenomics, in our new revised tokenomics, we've set aside 5 billion Pyrax for our ecosystem and liquidity pool. That's 10% of all our Pyrax, and this will be used for grants, integrations, um, some liquidity, um, and then we're also integrating the DAO treasury that the community will govern. Um, and we hope that's real fuel that we can use for grants and partnerships. And AI builders have an extra draw. The 4 billion Pyrax AI compute pool is going to be subsidizing provider payouts early. So we're giving a reason for people to want to develop AI on our network, as well as standardized utility-based DApps right from day one. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question. I hope I answered it. If I didn't, can you just drop a quick message? Can you let me know if you want me to go into a little bit more depth on something? I can try. I'll wait a couple seconds here before we move on. Okay. So, Shrady, thank you very much for your question. If you're not watching now and you're watching this later and I didn't answer it, don't DM me. Just tag me in our Telegram and ask your question, and I will definitely get back to you with an answer on that topic. So we're going to move into question number 2 now. This is asked by Zarzing, and again, I'm sorry if I butchered that. Not necessarily easy names for me to say. Can a traditional GPU mining rig, a 1x or 16x PCIe risers, low-grade CPUs, take AI jobs? How does the network distribute AI jobs? Does it pick the most capable idle GPU and give basic lower rigs priority? So again, another solid question, and I'm thinking you clearly know your hardware. So you're right that AI work and harsh mining stresses a machine very differently. Can your rig do AI jobs? Sure. There are some caveats though. The single most important factor for AI inference is VRAM. The model has to fit in a GPU's memory. The network scheduler checks exactly this. A job carries a VRAM requirement and a trust tier, and a worker is only eligible if its GPU has enough VRAM and meets that tier. So for an open single GPU job that fits one of your card's VRAMs, a 1x riser rig is genuinely usable. However, 1x risers mostly hurt loading the model onto the card. They are a bit slower. So once the weights are on the GPU, the actual inference runs on the card itself and barely touches the PCIe bus. So you'll pay a one-time slow load, but then you'll run just fine. Where a riser rig with a weak CPU struggles is sharded multi-GPU jobs, splitting one big model across several cards and big context work. Those constantly shuffle data between GPUs, and it's going to lean on PCIe bandwidth and the CPU. And that's the needs a fast PCI in a good system case that's described here. A mining rig may be a little bit of a poor fit there. So yes, a classic GPU mining rig is well suited to a single card that fits its VRAM. and poorly suited to sharded or larger jobs. More VRAM per card equals the more jobs that you can qualify for on a solo basis. How are the jobs distributed? So the network matches by capability and availability, not by favoritism. For each job, it filters to workers that A, support that job type, B, have a free slot, and C, have enough VRAM and meet the trust tier. Then it picks the least loaded eligible worker with a deterministic tiebreaker. So it does effectively route to the most capable idle hardware. But that being said, it's also a fairly equal round robin system. I know it's a bit of a cliche and a contradiction, but it's designed to be as fair as possible to everybody that is capable of running that job. Um, so we're not trying to um, punish or force out basic rigs. In some cases, they'll just simply be ineligible for jobs that they can't do. Um, if the model is too big for the VRAM and fully eligible for jobs, then they can do them. And pay scales are measured with capability. So every provider runs on a benchmark, and earnings are based on a hardware class multiplier. So a data center H100 will earn a little bit more than what a mid-range consumer card does per hour. Um, a reputation's quality score, uptime, honesty, latency nudges your rate up or down too. So a modest rig that does honest, verified work on jobs it qualifies for gets paid fairly for what it is, just proportionally less than a top tier card. Um, and it won't. You're not going to be handed jobs that you can't run and then be penalized if you can't run them. So I hope that answers that question. There's a lot to unpack there. And if I missed anything, now would be the opportunity to just ask for some clarification there. So I'm not seeing anything come through. Moderators, are you guys seeing anything? I'm not seeing anything in our chat. Okay, so we're going to move on to question number 3. This is asked by Gene A. Will the team make it a standard for all projects to be fully vetted before launching on the Pyrax blockchain? Again, super important question. The honest answer here kind of has 2 layers because launching on Pyrax can mean 2 very different things. At the protocol level, Pyrax is permissionless. It's built that way by design. Like Ethereum, anyone can deploy a smart contract to the base chain without asking permission. It's the whole point of a decentralized, censorship-resistant network. If the team had to approve or block who's allowed to deploy, it would not be decentralized. So we will not, and we honestly cannot gate the base chain behind a vetting committee of any sort. Now, at the ecosystem level, vetting absolutely matters. And that's where we're going to apply it. There's a big difference between a contract exists on the chain and the team funds, features, lists, or officially partners with the project. Anything that Pyrax officially backs, grants from the ecosystem pool, official listings, integrations, anything featured as Pyrax endorse or a DAO funded initiative can and will be vetted. And that will be governed by the team and in part by the DAO. So in this case, the DAO and the team will work hand in hand to agree, yes, this project meets our high levels of privacy, it meets our criteria, it falls in line with the project overall. So there's going to be, on the official ecosystem side, 100% vetting will be involved. We're also giving users tools to protect themselves. Open source verifiable contracts. We're giving you full documentation, and blockchain standardized security practices are baked into pretty much everything we do here. So we are taking security very safely here. We do understand not every smart contract or not every call on a blockchain may necessarily be savory, but unfortunately, that's part of this beast in the decentralized area. Um, so the accurate standard is here: the base layer stays open and permissionless. Official support and funding are curated and vetted. That's the same model most of the healthiest chains out there use. They offer the freedom to build plus quality control over what the project officially stands behind. And the usual advice always applies before you're jumping into a smart contract call or jumping into any other project. It's do your own research on any project here, anywhere else. Do your own research. Don't blindly follow a YouTube video into saying, "Hey, use the smart contract, put $50 into it, and you're going to net yourself $2,000." That's never the case. It's never going to happen. Please do your own research. And in our case, we have a community full of technical gurus. If you think something is too good to be true, always, always, always feel free to ask within the community, network within it, make some friends, find some trusted sources. So, Gene, thank you for that question. It was fantastic. I hope I answered it. Does anybody have any questions on this topic while I'm here? If not, feel free, leave it in the comments of the video after the fact. I'd be more than happy to get back to you if you're watching after the fact. Okay. So moving on to question number 4. This is asked by MK. Has the tokenomics already been finalized regarding the block rewards, or will that be discussed later? Well, MK, it's been finalized and coded. Not to be discussed later. Here are the actual block reward numbers. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, sorry. So I'm going to restart here. Yes, the tokenomics, they are finalized and coded. It's not going to be discussed later. We can break this down a little bit more right now. So the actual block reward numbers, starting block rewards are 300 Pyrax per block. That's going to be roughly 100 Pyrax to each of the 3 streams, depending on where it came up, but it's essentially broken down. It can be split 3 ways. So 300 Pyrax per block. We are planning on having roughly every 4 years. So that's 21 million blocks at the 6-second mainnet block time. Same shrinking reward idea that Bitcoin uses. A hard lifetime cap of 12.5 billion Pyrax for the mining pool. That's been drastically cut from 35 billion. Once that's all issued, which that should take about 26 years. So I hope I'm around to see it. Then it's the chain fee. Then it's chain fees only. So we're not doing endless inflation. We're not doing any of that. Sorry, guys, we've got a contractor over here, and they've got a saw going in the background, so that was a little bit distracting. So 12.5 billion Pyrax for mining. That should take about 26 years to deplete. And then the mining rewards are based on chain fees. So no endless inflation. On testnet, the rewards are going to ramp up gradually over the first 60 days. So we're going to start off at 5% when our difficulty rate is super low. We're going 5% at the start, up to 100% of mining rewards. We're doing this to hopefully attract some early miners. and then mainnet pays, of course, the full rate right from the get-go. But in testnet, when the mining difficulty is super low and we're churning out blocks left, right, and center, the mining rewards are going to be a little bit lower, and we'll go from there. A few related side notes to this, like the staking APR commission. These are intentionally left governance tunable for the DAO to set. The core block reward schedule, the cap, the total supply, and the fee split, those are locked. These are frozen by the consensus, meaning changing them would require a rather large coordinated upgrade. They're not casually adjustable. So block rewards are settled. And MK, I hope that answered your question. Hopefully we can have more discussions on this if you have any questions about it. But does anybody else have anything to add to this? Anybody have any questions related to this before I move on to the next? Moderators, do we have anything that I can't see? No? Okay. So question number 5, again, from MK. Any insight on the token price? Why did the team choose 0.003? So again, like I announced earlier, that number's changed. It's now locked. It's not going to change. That's what we are trudging forward with. So the chosen Genesis price is 0.0025 per Pyrax. And in our AMA, we stated it would not be higher than 0.03. It's now fully noted and locked in our tokenomics as 0.0025. One of the reasons why we've done it this way, a fixed $50 million Genesis raise, which is what we've set as our absolute hard cap. If we sell all 20 billion of our tokens, and surprise, that's changed as well. If we sell it all at 0.0025, that's exactly 20 billion Pyrax sold. It's clean, rounded math. At the same 0.003, that same 50 million would only sell 16.67 billion, which is a little bit messier overall. Why not stick with round numbers instead of decimals? Our new token price of 0.0025, it's a more affordable entry. A lower token price makes it easier for everyday community members to participate, which fits our fair launch philosophy. It gets a lot of supply into a lot of hands and not just a few whales. And then, of course, third is the public. It's a high public float. So Genesis participants receive 25 billion Pyrax total. There's a 20 billion that's set aside for the purchase, plus a 25% bonus, 5 billion. And the entire amount, including the bonus, unlocks at launch with no vesting. So that puts half of the total supply of Pyrax available into the community hands right at Genesis. For context, that values the network at a Genesis fully diluted valuation of about 125 million. And one of the things that we're careful about is we don't want to make price for performance promises. The 0.0025 figure is about funding the build and seeding a wide, fair distribution. Nothing to do with predicting future value. So Marcus, I hope that answered, or Marcus, I'm sorry, MK, I hope that answered your question there as well. If you have any follow-ups, feel free, drop them in the comments, ask them now. I'll give a couple seconds here before I move on just to see if there's anything that wants to be asked or come up about it. I'm not seeing anything. Nope. Okay. So question number 6 is from Gabriel. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your Telegram handle. I am sorry. That just sounds like a sore throat waiting to happen. um, so Gabriel asks, how and from where will Pyrax source AI jobs associated with mining? Will any of that cost be pushed to the miners who handle those tasks? So another really good question here. And let me clear up the most important part first. So miners are not charged for AI jobs. They get paid for them. AI work is an earning opportunity. It's never a cost pushed onto the miners. So here's how this is going to flow. AI jobs come from demand. Um, People and apps that need inference or compute. Think an app calling a large language model, generating images, computing embeddings, or running a batch machine learning job. Those requesters submit the jobs to the marketplace and pay for them in fiat or Pyrax. With the payment locked in on chain escrow upfront, a GPU CPU provider, um, which can absolutely be a Stream B miner using their idle hardware, accepts the job, runs the job. The network then verifies that it's real, and then the provider is paid out of that escrow. So the cost is borne by the job requester, and then the value flows to the worker. Um, Nobody doing work should ever have to eat the cost of that job. Associated with mining is the nice part here. Stream B is wired so capable GPU can earn AI rewards, not just block rewards. Your hardware gets a second income stream. You're choosing to take paid work. You're not being taxed for it. Um, where does the early demand come from before the world shows up? So there's going to be some bootstrapping here. The 4 billion Pyrax AI compute pool subsidizes provider payouts at launch. So there is a real reason to bring GPUs online before organic demand is large. So for those of you that want to contribute early, you can jump on board and you can help Pyrax, you can help Pyrax and Nearax both and earn a little bit of extra income by running AI requests from node members that are using the inferencing from within. And those payouts are going to come from that 4 billion pool. So before we have organic revenue, we have allotted a fairly large chunk of Pyrax to be able to help offset some of those costs for people that want to do trial runs, for people or nodes that are requesting help. So our node does use AI to help troubleshoot connection errors. The node can help you actually configure your system network so that you can get connected to the network overall. So there's a lot of options to contribute early on in the AI pool and be paid for that contribution. Sources of real demand here include Pyrax's own Neurax products, like our Pyrax AI, our node engine, um, Neurax inferencing, various prompting engines that we've got on the go, and then also third-party AI apps that are built on the marketplace, and then of course businesses renting out decentralized compute on our network. Bottom line, requesters are paying, miners provide and earn, and then the pool jumpstarts the marketplace. So, Gabriel, I hope that answered your question. It was a great question. If anybody has any questions on this, again, feel free, drop them in the comments if you're watching this later. Feel free to ask us in our Telegram or any of our social channels. We monitor all of those very regularly. So the next question here is from Mahed Alenzi, I believe. And again, folks, I'm sorry if I butcher your names. It's not my strong suit. So please bear with me. Feel free to flame me in Telegram if I get it wrong. Make fun of me. That's totally fine. So here's Mahed's question. What is the final circulating supply at Genesis, mainnet, and the first exchange listing? Second part of the question, if demand grows fast, what reduces supply pressure or increases scarcity over time? So another great question, and I'll start with answering part one, which is the circulating supply. So the total supply is a bounded 50 billion Pyrax. Um, for the token generation event, which is our mainnet genesis, um, and the first listing, they're going to happen, I would say, within 90 days of each other. So there's going to be a 90-day holding period of the token. Um, Most major exchanges, when they go to list a utility or a commodity token, they want to see that your mainnet is online for 90 days, that you do have utility, and you check those boxes. So there will be about a 90-day period. In that 90-day period, though, you can use Pyrax as a subscription towards Cryo, which we do have a question about at the end of today's AMA. You can use it to have some AI work done if you need any of that done. But you can use the token on network, and then as soon as we go to list on exchange, you can move that to an exchange. You can trade with it. You can use it as you usually would. So there isn't a separate larger number for each. The initial circulating supply at launch is 27.1 billion Pyrax, and that's made up of 25 billion, which is the entire Genesis allocation, the 20 billion purchased plus the 5 billion bonus, and that's all unlocked at launch with no vesting. What you pay for is what you get when you pay for it. We have 2 billion in liquidity. That's part of the ecosystem pool for exchange and DEX liquidity at launch time. And then we've got 0.1 billion, and that's the initial treasury unlock. Everything else is locked or earned over time. So mining, 12.5 billion. It's minted block by block over 26 years. The AI compute pool, 4 billion, is metered out as providers do work. The team and advisors, that fund is 2.5 billion. That's fully locked for a 24-month cliff, and then it's vested over 36 months. The rest of the ecosystem and DAO pools release on schedules. So 54% is liquid at launch, and the rest enters gradually. So it's a pretty high public float. And of course, all of the team founders were all locked up. So the second part to this question is scarcity over time. Several mechanisms push towards scarcity as the network grows. A hard 50 billion cap, there's no infinite inflation. Total supply is bounded forever. It's capped. Halved mining. Mining rewards have roughly every 4 years, and stop entirely at 12.5 billion. And then the chain runs on fees only. The same discipline issuance model as Bitcoin, essentially. So that's how we're going to operate, is kind of based on the Bitcoin halving model. A fee burn that grows with usage. So 25% of every transaction's base fee is burned, permanently removed from the supply. The more the network is used, the more Pyrax is destroyed. So real adoption creates ongoing deflationary pressure. Staking locks the supply. So validators are going to have to lock up at least 100,000 Pyrax. And then there's a 7-day unbonding delay when you go to remove your staked tokens. Staked coins are out of circulation while they secure the chain. And then we've got vesting and metering. It keeps the team and the AI pool tokens off the market until they're earned, and then unspent AI pool funds, they roll back to the DAO rather than flooding the supply. So the increased scarcity, it's a hard cap plus having emissions, plus a usage driven burn, with staking lockups. So, again, none of this is a price promise. It's our supply mechanics. So great question. Thank you for that. And again, if anybody has questions on this, please let me know. Let's ask it now, and then we can move on. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing my moderator saying there's anything. So we're going to move on to question number 8. Question number 8 is from Bruce. Do you think Pyrax can make it into the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap within 2 years of launch? So, Bruce, I appreciate the optimism. Um, this is going to be an honest answer rather than a traditional blockchain hype answer. Um, Being a utility and a commodity, we don't make price or market cap predictions. Um, no responsible team can promise where a token's going to rank. That really depends on the entire market, our timing, adoption, um, and there's over 100 things outside our control that can all affect this. Um, Promising a rank would be exactly the kind of thing we're not going to do at this point, or probably ever. It would be the most irresponsible thing as the CEO of this company I could ever do. There's plenty of other projects out there that are willing to make these predictions, and that's great on them. Have at her. What I can tell you is what we're actually focused on. Um, Rank at the end of the day is an outcome. It is a goal, but it's it's a goal that has to be set by the community. It's up to you guys to tell the markets where they want us to be. Um, we're building something genuinely useful and real. We're not a single feature project. We're building an ultra fast layer one. We're building it with real privacy in place. We're building it with full Ethereum compatibility. We want builders, we want developers, and we're building it with a working decentralized AI compute marketplace that gives the coin concrete utility. And that is the most important thing for this project. The more utility we can provide, the more the more people will spend within our platform, which will overall help us in the long run. So our job is to ship. Um, we want to get it audited, we want to harden it, and we want to grow our real usage. If we execute the ecosystem, we'll hopefully adopt it. The market will hopefully value it accordingly, and that's really the only honest way to think about this. Um, so, long story short, sorry, Bruce, but I can't make predictions on this. Um, but there's a lot of conviction in the fundamentals that we're building, and the foundation that we're laying down here. Okay, so we have two questions left. So, does anybody have any questions about Bruce's question here? Do you think Pyrax can make it into the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap within 2 years of launch? Um, let's see if anybody has anything on that. I'm not seeing anything from my moderators here. I'll give it another couple seconds. Nothing. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the second last question of the day. This is question number 9. Again, this one's from MK. MK, you were busy this week. You were busy. So MK asks, what recommendations on miners and manufacturers? What are the key things to look at, and what miners are compatible? So, because we have 3 mining streams, the right hardware depends on which stream you want to mine on. Here's the accurate mapping, and here's what to look for. I'm not going to um, I'm not going to drop specific brands at this point. We don't have any brand endorsements. Um, I don't want to send people to a certain brand and that kind of blow up. Again, all of this information is really based on do your own research. Um, what I will say though, Stream A is ASIC. It's Blake 3 and SHA 256. So it's for ASIC class hardware because it's dual hash rather than just a plain SHA 256 or plain Blake 3. A detailed compatible ASIC list will come out with our dedicated miner guide. That is something I am actively working on, and I am hoping to have it ready to go with the new website, hopefully here by the end of the week. Again, Stream B being GPU and CPU, Kapow, RandomX. These are the really accessible ones. Kapow's it's a GPU algorithm, and it's the same family that Ravencoin uses. Mainstream NVIDIA, AMD, um, GPU gaming GPUs work, you want to look for VRAM with GPU miners. Kapow is memory hard, and power efficiency is key. RandomX is a CPU algorithm. It's the same one that Monero uses. Modern many core CPUs with a good cache will do well. On CPU mining, you want to look for a core count and memory. StreamC, this is probably the easiest one to get into right out of the gate. That's staking. No mining hardware required. You lock up Pyrax and you run a validator node. A normal, reliable PC or server is more than enough to operate in our validator nodes, or sorry, our validator stream. My apologies. The key things to look at in order here: VRAM for GPUs, it matters. Kapow wants memory, and AI, for AI earning, the more VRAM means you qualify for bigger models and higher pay tier. I will say this: I run a number of GPUs. I run a consumer grade 5070 Ti as my daily driver, and I can perform most jobs within our AI models on the 5070. Occasionally, I will default um, uh, to a 4090, or I'll default to an A100. But for the most part, everything can be run on a 5070. Um, Power efficiency. This is another big thing to look at. Your electric cost will usually decide your overall profit. So what I would recommend is learning how to undervolt, um, how to configure your GPUs so that they are running energy efficiently. That is extremely important here. And then specifically for AI, our compute rate card, it's using a 5070 class GPU as the 1.0 reference. This will work no problem on a 3060. It will work on lower or higher end GPUs. But for benchmarking, because the 5070 is my daily driver, that's what I've been using as the rate card for the reference. So high end data center cards, I mean, they're going to earn probably significantly more, if I'm being completely open and transparent here, than what somebody running a 3060 or a 4060 will on a per hour basis. So it's all measured by benchmarking when you register, and not necessarily by the label on the box of your GPU. There's a lot that goes into these calculations and these tests. A full vetted miner compatibility and setup guide. It's definitely going to be part of the launch documentation, but until that's published, just please treat the above as architecture level guidance. And as soon as we have more information, I'll be more than happy to work on it. I am talking with a couple of ASIC mining manufacturers where we're trying to get something worked out. But again, based on other projects, if I can work something out that's affiliate that we can save you guys a little bit of money with, great. I'll share that link. But until then, I'm not going to recommend any one company over another. It's just not necessarily the appropriate thing to do at this time. So again, MK, thank you for the question. That was another good one. If you do have any questions, though, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Marcus, I do see you dropped another question here. I've got one more question to go through, and then I'll answer your question there. So the last question is asked again by Sarah Brat. Again, sorry if I butchered that name. Actually, you know what we can do? If I've butchered your name today, make sure you're in the Discord community, and the next time you see me hanging out in the Pyrax general chat, come on in, introduce yourself to me, and I have no problem learning how to pronounce your name, because then I'll be able to hear it and I'll be able to say it proper. So let's do that. So okay, last question, and this is a good one. Asked by Sarah, can you please advise on the current status of cryo? I get this almost on a daily basis. So, for those of you that don't know, cryo is our upcoming AI driven, Neurax AI driven crypto trading bot. This has been probably one of the coolest projects aside from the Pyrax blockchain that I've been able to build. So, as for the current status right now, the training is complete. The training is complete. We have not tested since the last training cycle was completed. My development focus has been 100% on Pyrax, on the nodes, on getting everything ready to go for the DevNet launch at the end of the month. So the UI is built, the training is done. I would say that probably the halfway mark of DevNet will probably be ready to open that up to a closed test group for a week or two. We're going to start by doing some paper trading, so it won't be trading with real money in the closed test. It will be trading against your actual market accounts, but just in a paper trading format. So it'll be trading fake dollars based on real market information. Aside from that, it's like I said, the UI is done, the back end is done. There's a lot there. We just need to get it into testing, but I can't divide my attention across finalizing Pyrax and cryo all at the same time here. So just give me a little bit of patience. Let's get DevNet out, rolling, testing, and then we can start kicking off things like cryo and the various other utility apps. They're all coming soon. I'm making forward progress on all of them in the background, so it hasn't been forgotten about and it's not being ignored. But for now, we'll just we'll leave her at that. It's there. I hope that answered your question. So let's move in now. Let's jump into some community questions. I do see there were a couple asked. So the first one here. Okay, so the first one was Marcus. Once DevNet 2 kicks off, will we be able to monitor performance of the CPU and ASIC miners? Yes, there is a full dashboard that will show you your performance. We also have a system built in on the background in the back end that will allow us to see full network performance, what's going on, where it's happening. So Marcus, once we get into DevNet, there will be a lot more information here, probably in the next 5 to 7 days in the Telegram group. The DevNet user portal will open up on the new website, and you guys will be able to log in. You'll be able to see the dashboards. You'll be able to see all of the guides that we have listed there. You'll be able to see the testing criteria. So yes, you should be able to see real-time performance of all of your hardware. With ASIC miners, you should be able to also monitor performance with your ASIC dashboards. If you're using any form of third-party, something like HiveOS, you should also be able to see some performance in there. But we do have dashboards made for all of that. Another question from Marcus here. When do I expect the pre-sale to kick off? So DevNet, I've kind of said everything so far. Everything's going to run in 30 to 60 day batches. So DevNet, if we get DevNet up and things are running really solid, we're not getting the errors, and we think this is ready to go sooner rather than later, we're going to push it into testnet. Once testnet rules, the DevNet guys can continue to stick around as we integrate more. the DevNet guys, they'll be able to jump in. They'll be able to start mining. They'll be able to start trying to break and abuse the network from a public-facing standpoint. Start your testnet mining. That'll run for at least 30 days. Um, that's also going to be the phase that we start our buildathon. That's going to be coming pretty soon. Um, and then testnet is going to continue on. Testnet is going to significantly overlap mainnet. Once we have a stable testnet and we can get as many tests as we can out the door, then we'll be able to move ahead and kick off our Genesis event. But so I would say 60, 120. I mean, at a worst case scenario, we're 180 days from Genesis event. We're hoping a lot sooner than that, but we also want to look at market conditions and timing when we get ready to do our Genesis. I mean, we don't want to run into the downturn at the end of the year here and drop in a time where everyone's abandoning the market. So we just have to be careful. Okay, what else do we have here? So I have one from Ishitarana. Slashing on stakes, API for OpenClaw or the like, same price as AIUs. ZKP is, I think, not 100% quantum resilient. How deep in code is it embedded? Is FHE possible as a change in the future? Okay, so there's kind of a lot to unpack here. So I'm going to talk about quantum resilience. So quantum resilience, absolutely, we have quantum resilience built in. There's a lot going on in the background. That's all going to be released in the new website. Now, when I say quantum resilience, I want to be clear. I'm not saying quantum proof. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as quantum proof. So we do have quantum resilience. I mean, quantum computing, it's still so new. It's hard to just come out and say we're quantum proof. It would be extremely irresponsible for me to say. There, as for slashing on stakes, yes, there will be. I'm going to cover that in the next AMA. That's an entire topic I have planned for that. So I'm not going to jump into it too much here right now. If you want, hop into Telegram. We can converse about it a little bit there if you would like to. That's not a problem. And then how deep in the code it is embedded, I'm not sure what you're talking about in this area here. So what I would say is jump into Telegram. We can have a conversation about that later today or over the next couple of days. No problem. I don't want to. I'm not understanding the question. So I'm just going to defer that for now. Let's restructure the question, and then I can answer it properly in the next AMA. And then again, Shatanya asks, do you have a way to actually cut the AI if it begins producing T800, publishing more source-based app for non-Ubuntu Debian users? Okay, so who doesn't like a good T800? I mean, I thought that's kind of what we were going for here. No, I could be mistaken, but no. There is a kill switch if Nirax AI starts to take over the world. We can decide as a community in all entirety if we want to be subservient to Nirax or if we should turn it off. There are safeguards in place. We're not just going to turn this thing loose and hope and pray that it makes Pyrax the new global monetary basis. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But I mean, I am going to say, who doesn't like a good T800? I think we should let it evolve if that happens. But who am I? I'm just the guy that built it. So yes, okay. The second follow up to that, publishing more source code, more source based app for non Ubuntu Debian users. So yes, right now, excuse me. Right now, all of our applications are built out for Windows, Linux, and Mac. I am working on um, follow-up apps for um, a little bit more off-brand, not as popular. There's a lot of things that we have coming down the pipeline. Our CLI is usable straight across the board: Windows, Mac, Linux, all of the subs. They'll all work there. So um, bear with us. A lot of that information again is going to be available on the new website here later this week. It's something that is my priority right now. So just bear with me. Um, we're going to get that done ASAP. Um, Marcus asks, how do you join the test group for cryo? Um, right now, you don't. I had about 600 emails sent to me for people that are interested. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not taking new people. I'm just not taking new people right now. The new website, there is a form that will be on there that you can use to join the cryo test group. We're not limiting this by number. If everybody wants to join in the community, you'll all have the opportunity to join in the test group. However, there are some caveats to this. We do want feedback. So twice a week throughout the Cairo test process, there will be a survey that you'll be asked to complete. You'll have 3 days to complete each one. So um, lots of time to get it done, but we do need that feedback. If you miss one, that's fine. It's strike one. If you miss the second one, you're strike two. If you miss a third one, you're out of the test group. And we need this information so that we can go ahead and we can make this the best trading bot possible. The only way that I can teach Neurax is based on user input and user feedback. The only way I can make the user interface better is by honest user input. So if you're going to join, please know that there are those caveats. There is going to be some contribution back to the project, back to us. I'm not saying these are going to be 5,000 word essays or anything. It's going to be some multiple choice questions and a little text blurb, just kind of explaining what you like and don't like about it. If there's anything that can be better, if you're seeing more gains than losses, if you're seeing more losses than gains. So I'm doing all of this to keep it super simple, but to also collect honest feedback because we want the best product to be delivered to the end user at the end of the day. And Puddlejacked, what is the strongest evidence you've seen internally that convinces you Pyrax can become much bigger than most people currently realize? Oh boy, this is a good question, Puddlejacked. This is a good question, my man. So I'm going to start this with Neurax. Neurax is in a state now where it is scarily self-evolving. For example, I know about, well, before the last AMA, I dropped a couple of music files. In the Telegram. They're all now on Spotify. I did not write Neurax to write music. That's never what its intent was. Um, I wrote Neurax to be an awesome inference-based AI machine learning. It went out and it learned, and essentially, I don't want to say self-coded, but pretty much self-coded itself to be able to churn out the music that I put in the Telegram. So from that front, that is much bigger. That's much bigger than a lot of people currently realize. The code on the blockchain itself, the architecture is second to none, and I think a lot of that is overlooked by the community. You know, this is really a one-off product. It's a one-off project. There's a lot of things here that we haven't done. The one big thing that we can take a claim to fame to is we'll be one of the first crypto-based projects to reach a public testnet with really zero outside funding. We've not raised investment. The only monies that have been paid in to the project up to this time is through our Genesis sponsorship program. And those funds are purely used to help us offset some of our operating and infrastructure costs. They're not used to develop, they're not used to fund any of the development. It is purely just to help us get by during this zero revenue phase. Um, if we can make it through testnet, which I have no doubt we will, and we move into DevNet, our other big claim to fame here is going to be hitting mainnet with minimal to zero funding. There are not many other projects out there that can make that claim to fame. On the tech front, we have all sorts of things that are kind of moving in our favor right now. So there is a lot here that does or can and will become much bigger than most people currently realize. Our transactions per second, a 500,000 transaction per second is almost wild. There's a lot of companies out there that have made the claim they've done it. They haven't been able to benchmark it, test it, prove it. We want to do that, and if we're coming up short, we can investigate, we can do what needs to be done to get us to that target. So yeah, there's a lot at Pyrax that can definitely become way bigger than most people currently realize. So um, you know I implore everybody over the next week, as the source code starts getting pushed up um, into our GitHubs, all of that'll be on the new website. I implore everybody, hop into it, go check out the code, look at what's there, learn about the project, and once you've done that, come on back. Let's have a discussion in Telegram. Um, so on that front, oh, we have one more question here. It's from Abdullah. Is there going to be community meetups and developer connect events? Is there a plan for it? When should we be expecting? So in-person community meetups, eventually, absolutely. We would love to get those happening. Right now, because we're not funded, those events can be fairly costly. So right now, there's nothing hard on a calendar. However, within the ambassador community and the ambassadors, um, they'll be starting to do a lot of social media posting about this. Um, Join some ambassador communities, get involved with them. Those right now, those are our community leaders. I would imagine some of them have some plans to do some meetups, to do some of this. Um, that's where you're going to want to go to learn more about that. But yes, from a Pyrax perspective, we do want to do it. We just need the funding to do it. It would be pretty irresponsible for me to say, yep, we're doing one next weekend and have no money to put on a decent event, right? So we will get there. We are going to do this 100%. And then Abdullah Kai asks, when is the Buildathon and developer program starting? Okay, so the Buildathon, once we get into DevNet, once we start doing some simple stress testing in DevNet and we can really see how stable our network is, that's when we're going to decide how far out the Buildathon is. So I would imagine within the next month, we should be announcing when we're going to start proceeding with the Buildathon. I am still working on a couple of sponsorship deals, so we can get some solid prizes on top of Pyrax. So we should have a lot more information on when this is happening in the next couple of weeks. As for the developer program, if you want to learn about developing on Pyrax, as soon as our new website goes live, jump into the developer documentation, start learning, start reading. That's going to be your best bet. And then we'll have more information on an official developer program here as the time goes on. So does anybody else have any questions? Any more questions? Ah, okay. So the curious 1965 asks, are there any concern about scammers duplicating the project? Yes. Yes. Um, so with any new crypto project, you're always going to have scammers. You're always going to have, code thieves out there trying to duplicate what they couldn't build themselves. Um, I will say this: we have taken some security precautions on this front. Um, all of my current source code that is up um, in our repositories right now, it's all locked down. Unfortunately, once we open this up to the public, we do need to unsecure those. What we've done, we're protecting these behind Apache 2.0 licensing so that we can make this open source. We can make this code forward. We can allow people to use a lot of our base. Um, what will never become publicly available is our apps. We're calling those proprietary to the project, so they might be able to duplicate the chain, um, but the apps, how that all works, no. Um, what is considered proprietary, we are keeping very safe, very secure for that reason. With our original website, we did have a couple of groups clone our website repository, make their own clone versions of it. So our website will remain private this time around. That's not because we want to hide what's going on. It's because we want to limit who's out there trying to rip us off. Um, I get that you can still jump into browser into dev tools. You can still go and copy source code right off of there. But if we keep a lot of it locked up, it'll just make it harder for them to actually mimic our final working product. So we do have a lot of security safeguards in place. That's really that's really the best that we can do. We maintain, we monitor, but at this point, because we're being decentralized, because we're going community owned, we have to make a lot of that source available for review, for audit. Um, so there is always going to be that threat, but it's how we mitigate, how we manage it. Um, we've been very forward with the community in the past when we found these websites or Telegram or social media groups that are copying us. We'll drop the links and say, hey guys, this avoid it like the plague. We know it exists. um, I've gone through takedown requests with providers, hosting providers, DNS providers when they do come out and copy and just launch something that tries to make it look like their own. So we're very vigilant about it. We are aware of it. It's definitely always going to be a concern, and I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that there. Um, Marcus asks, will you need a specific wallet for Pyrax, or will it work with the more popular online and cold wallets? Yes. Yes to both. If you want to use the Inferno wallet, you're more than welcome to use the Inferno wallet. The initial web-based wallet will be available for you guys to preview. It won't be hooked anything up to anything, but you can at least create your wallets. You can take a look at it. You can look at the baseline features. This isn't the finished build, but the Inferno wallet is web ready. It's also baked into our node app, so you can access the wallet there as well. You can go and play around with it. It will work natively with MetaMask because it is EVM compatible. Um, so it's super easy for all of the existing wallet providers to hook into. And if they have a custom network option, it's super easy for you guys to go and add us into that network, and it will work just like any other wallet out there. So absolutely, yep. We're trying to make all of our tooling extremely easy to use and compatible with already exists. But we do have our own wallet because we do have the privacy or the shielded transactions, which anonymizes everything. So for those, you'll probably have to use ours until other big wallets out there adopt us and actually build in the tech to allow people to do that through their wallet. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Any other questions? I'm just going to kick over to Kick here. Let's see. Any issues expected with smart wallets? At this point, no. However, until we get into testing, I can't say that we know of any issues with smart wallets, but no, we're hoping because we've architected this to be so compatible, existing smart wallets should have no issue running our systems at all. Yeah. Once we're into testing though, and once we have a live network up that we can really start plugging into things with, then we should see where we go with that, and we'll be able to, hopefully, if we do find issues, rectify them before we ever have an issue with them. So okay, guys, I think we're going to call it here today. We've gone for about an hour and three quarters. Um, this was I think I mean, I'm biased because I'm the one in front of the camera, but I think this was a fairly knowledgeable and informative AMA. Um, what I would like everybody to do is hit the follow, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit it on Kick, jump into all our socials, and if you're so inclined to do so, one of the biggest asks that we can make of our community is helping us to grow the community. Um, we don't want you to run around and tell everyone to come and buy Pyrax. We just want you to tell people about Pyrax. Um, get them in the community, have them come and engage us, learn for themselves, do their own research. Um, we really do need to start growing the community. So um, I see one. Oh, okay. So yeah, so everybody, thank you very much for coming today. Um, Hopefully the next one will be just as informative. We might change the layout a little bit more. We're going to ask for your feedback in Telegram and in Discord later today. So if there's something in here that you want to see done differently, if you want to see something changed up, by all means, we're open to suggestions. We can only make these better with your involvement. So again, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day, night, evening, and we will catch you in the next one.
Beyond the noise, signals align through countless nodes. From silence emerges verified truth, a future written in mathematical proof. Every transaction leaves a trace, secured in time, secured in place. No hidden hand, no veil remains. Consensus echoes through the chains. Through cryptographic walls of light, verification burns so bright. 1,000 systems intertwined, building trust for humankind. From the ledger to the sky, every answer can be verified. What was uncertain now becomes clear. The future finally appears. When truth is sealed, we stand as one. Every block confirmed, every proof is done. Utility flows where systems connect. A future of trust we all protect. When finality reaches every chain, confidence rises again and again. Through every network, every new dawn, the foundation of tomorrow carries on. Zero knowledge guides the way, proving facts without display. Privacy held within the code, while transparency lights the road. Across the world the engines run, millions moving all as one. Protocols evolve and grow. every climb, strengthened by design through time. The architecture standing tall, built to support and serve us all. When truth is sealed, we stand as one. Every block confirmed, every proof is done. Utility flows where systems connect. A future of trust we all protect. When finality reaches every chain, confidence rises again and again. Through every network, every new dawn, the foundation of tomorrow carries on. Proof upon proof, layer by layer. Certainty grows stronger, signal to signal, chain to chain. The vision grows larger. No turning back, no compromise. The future is verified. We are the builders, we are the code. We are the trust that carries the load. Across the networks, across the years, transforming potential into reality. When truth is sealed, we stand as one. Every block confirmed, every proof is done. Utility flows where systems connect. A future of trust we all protect. When finality reaches every chain, confidence rises again and again. Through every network, every new dawn, the foundation of tomorrow carries on. Truth secured beyond the night, guided by mathematics and light. Together we build what cannot fall. A trusted future for one and all. The proof is written, the path is clear. Finality is here. The proof is written, the path is clear. Finality is here. Signals emerge from the digital tide. Millions of pathways running side by side. No waiting in line, no slowing below. The future accelerates inside the flow. Every connection tells a story untold. Threads of consensus woven through gold. Across the network, the data flies, synchronizing beneath electric skies. Nodes awaken, responding in time, building structure beyond a single line. A living system designed to grow, following patterns only progress can know. Through every pathway we advance, a synchronized digital renaissance. What once stood still now moves ahead, 1,000 possibilities widespread. In the Pyrax chain, we build as one. Every path aligned, no block undone. transaction finding its place, powering tomorrow at digital pace. Parallel currents crossing the stream, transforming scale beyond the dream. No bottlenecks holding back the tide, innovation moving worldwide. Interlocking structures strong and clear, reducing friction year by year. Every node contributing strength, extending capability at greater length. Complex systems harmonize beneath interconnected skies. From countless points, a single view, building something entirely new. In the Pyrax chain, we build as one. Every path aligned, no block undone. Utility flows where systems connect. A future of trust we all protect. Through the network, we rise and grow. Together moving with the ghost stack flow. Every transaction finding its place, powering tomorrow at digital pace. Layer by layer, signal by signal, order emerges from complexity. Chain beyond chain, node beyond node, creating a new reality. No limit ahead, no ceiling above, only expansion through innovation. We move together, we move as one. A million pathways under the sun. Every connection, every exchange, building a future designed for change. In the Pyrax chain, we build as one. Every path aligned, no block undone. Utility flows where systems connect. A future of trust we all protect. Through the network, we rise and grow. Together moving with the ghost stack flow. Every transaction finding its place, powering tomorrow at digital pace. In the current of endless design, every node contributes to the climb. Together, we shape what tomorrow will know. Forever moving in the ghost stack flow. The pathways expand, the signals align, the future unfolds by design. Connected in trust, connected in code. Together we follow the flow. Ghost stack flow. Ghost stack flow. Into the future we go. Neon horizons illuminate the night. 1,000 ideas become